In December of 2000, before a sellout crowd in Kuiper Gymnasium, Central College volleyball team won its third straight NCAA Division III championship. 20 years later, here we are with Central's two All-American players from that year, setter Angie Nielsen Sears and the National Player of the Year, middle hitter Candace Wilson DuRegger. It is great to see you guys. Tell us, first of all, where are you?
It's good to see you too, Larry. I am in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
I am in Bellevue, Nebraska. It is great to see both of you, your faces.
Well, going into that 2000 season, Central had won 2 straight national championships, but the 2-time National Player of the Year, Abby Brown, had graduated, and probably some teams thought, okay, Central's going to regress a little bit here. What was going through your mind as you faced a season without Abby? What were your expectations coming into the year?
Well, I think it's so funny because even when you first sent the email, I still said, well, why does he have Abby on there? Why isn't Abby on this? That just seems like obvious. So, it's so hard to like remember, oh yeah, there was a year that we didn't have her. And she'll remind us that we did lose the first game without her against WashU. It was definitely, I think, an adjustment period, because she's just a force, I to say the least. And but I think we just had a lot of, the core of just that junior class that year was so steady that I feel like they just really stepped up, and the other underclassmen really stepped up to kind of fill in where we could, because I don't think anybody could ever replace Abby, right? I think she's just, yeah, she's Abby, and yeah, you're not going to replace that. So
I agree. I think the one thing, Abby was so much more competitive in some ways than I think the rest of us maybe collectively. You're very competitive, Candace, but like Abby was another level of like, I think she would yell at you. Like, I don't think I ever heard you yell at her, but like she would.
Right.
I think I wondered if we would have that same intensity, and you and Steph brought that intensity, honestly, from a lot of places of just being like such encouragers too. Like, so there's different ways to motivate people, right? And so you can be competitive in a lot of different ways. So you guys brought that in a different way. So, but we certainly missed her, mostly just her personality. And yeah.
Well, looking back at the records and scores, I think people forget just how dominant that team was. I mean, in the 3 championship seasons, Central's was 118-4. And the 2000 team without Abby was 40-2. And that year, only 7 of Central's 40 wins even went to 4 sets. So, I mean, you guys just rolled. And so, yet, I don't think anyone would describe you as a cocky team, but you had to feel, when you walked on the court, you had to feel pretty confident. What was that like? Did you just know you were going to win?
Well, I think, again, we had the core people. I mean, that was year 3. I mean, Angie's class had been starting really since their freshman year. And so I think you just had that core group of people where you just knew each other. You knew each other's strengths. And so I think in that, you just have a lot of unspoken communication. I mean, you're always talking, but there was also just that unspoken. And I think ultimately, when I look back at this, that I don't realize as I get older, I realize like we all really liked each other. Like truly, I really truly loved every single person on that team. Like there is not one person that like I disliked. I literally cannot think of one person I was like, ugh, I mean, so I think there's something to that as well.
Yeah, I would agree. It was so fun. Like my girls, playing sports, sometimes I'm so zealous for them to have as much fun as I had. Like, cause to me, sports without fun is like, wow, what's the point? Like, and we just had such a blast. Like everything from jokes in the vans to like, just, I mean, who else? You saw each other at your best and worst. Like, I honestly don't think anyone but my husband has seen me the way, well, and my parents obviously growing up, but, and my sister, but like you guys saw everything. And like you said, I truly loved all of you. It was like family. It was something special. So it was, I don't know that, I think that that was something other teams, you can't replicate. Like, you can't make people like each other, you know, like you can try, but we just hit jackpot on that, I think. So
what moments from that year really stand out to you? Candace, you were talking about something in the locker room.
Yeah, I was the first thought of that game, that final match, the national championship match, in the locker room beforehand, going around in the circle, doing the chant that Kent Clayberg had us say, and we had to stare each other in the eye and look around at each other. And in that, just remember just losing it, crying. And normally I was trying not to laugh and I was trying to stay serious and focused. And this time though, I just literally like started crying, knowing that this was the last time I was ever going to do that again. And yeah, it was just sad. I was just sad about that. And I mean, you know, it's a happy and you're excited that you're there, but all of a sudden you're like, wait a second. I'm not going to do this again. So yeah.
There are a couple thwhich that stuck out. I was like, Candace, I get all the years mixed up. And so like, I was like, oh no, which year was this? And I forget what year. So I don't know if I've probably always been that way, a little bit flighty, but things that stick out to me are how the community of Pella was so encouraging and excited about their small college volleyball team. Like I just was floored, you know, Subway sending us like plates and plates of cookies, and I'll probably cry. And like the Strawtown, is that what it was called? The restaurant?
Yes.
Coaches arranged for us to go there for like a fancy meal like before, because usually when you go, you know, usually when we went to Pennsylvania, we got to like, you know, be treated a little bit.
Special meals. Yeah.
Like, so they had the thoughtfulness to plan that out for us. And I just remember feeling just so loved on. I mean, you look at like who showed up at that game, and like I nearly cried walking out there, just because I thought, like, on the one hand, I can joke and say like, oh, you didn't have anything else to do. But on the other hand, like, people chose to like jump in and be a part of it. And I think without that, it would have, I mean, we might as well go back to Russia, you know, like because it was so special, like, to me. So I still get kind of like, oh, thanks, Pella. Like, people like really care. So
we're kind of piggybacking off of that. You know, those previous two national championships have been at Juniata College. Probably no one on this team before or since has visited Huntington, Pennsylvania. But what did it mean to you to get that Final Four in Pella and have that sellout crowd?
Yeah, that was just surreal. I don't think you could have. I mean, even, you know, like when I compare our crowds to previous crowds, like even going back to my freshman year when we were at UC San Diego, which had a great turnout, you know, and then Juniata, which had a pretty good crowd, but I don't think anything compared to that crowd in Pella. I mean, it was packed, right? I mean, I don't know, is this my memory? But I mean, I feel like it was packed from like the bottom row all the way up to the top, and then even outside into the hallways, where I remember people were standing in the hallways watching the game. And I think about just even those other matches, I'm just like, in Juniata, I feel like one year there was barely anybody in the stands. I mean, was that true? Or was that just me?
Yeah, my freshman
year. So I just think like, wow. And the sound of that crowd was just amazing. And I honestly feel, I remember, you know, we had I can't remember the scores of that game, but I feel like we had one really tight game there, that it was just like a 2-point match, a 2-point game against, this is Wisconsin Whitewater, right? That we played.
Yep.
Am I right?
We had it was 15-10, 18-16, 15-3. So maybe that second
18-16. It was that second game, yeah. And it was just this tight match. And I feel like after that, I mean, I almost feel like our crowd just kind of, it was like that, you know, that extra player, you know, you always hear about that extra player factor. And I feel like that, because after that, I feel like it just deflated the other team. And we were able to, that last game, we just rolled, right? They couldn't do any, I don't want to say they completely deflated, but we just couldn't do anything wrong. And it almost went by too fast, honestly. I felt like that last game went by too fast, where it was like, what? It's already done? It was just 3 games? Like, yeah. So.
Angie, what's it like walking out on that floor when you see that crowd?
Well, I didn't know I was short in real life. Like I'm 5'8", but in the volleyball world, evidently that's short. And so I always got like the smallest number, right? Even though I was not the smallest person. And but I was short. I held the ball in pictures. And so I was the first person, I think the first player, right, to go out. And I was so overwhelmed. It was like the best surprise party, like where you were like, oh, I knew there'd be people, but I didn't know it'd be like this, you know? And so again, like you guys know me at least enough to know, like I am such a relationship person. And so like, to me, it was like, oh, well, there's so-and-so, and like, oh, that's that girl from my class. Like, oh, well, you know, like it felt like it was like a party or something. Which is hilarious to think back, but it was so special. I do not even remember the scores. I don't remember anything. To be really honest, like I don't remember hardly any of the volleyball itself, and maybe that's good because I don't know. I mean, it was wonderful. We were so well prepared. I mean, Megan and Kent just we felt, I think that if to go back to your previous question, like how do you feel confident? Well, like we all know, like you feel confident in something if you've practiced it, and if you've gotten some like feedback that like you can do this, you know, and some encouragement. And golly, I mean, we were so ready to go. Our second team was far better than pretty much any team we ever played. And so to play against them, we felt so ready to go. And I think that was such a gift because then we could just enjoy being in the moment. You know, it wasn't like you were wringing your hands like, oh, we don't know what they're going to do. Like we knew everything they were going to do pretty much. It was just, can we do what we need to do in order to beat them? So that was so special.
Yeah, I think that was Kent. He would always, I mean, for preparing wise, I mean, he had every play, you know, of the other team mapped out. So we would always practice every possibility on each rotation. These are their different possibilities they're going to run. And we would, you know, do that over and over again. So it just became, yeah. So it's like, you're no longer having to think about it. You just do it. It's no longer a reaction. It's a response. You're like, okay, here's where they're lining up. These are, you know, so you could start yelling that out before the play even started because of just that time. I mean, and you know, Kent put some time in on those videos. I mean, I don't even want to think of how many hundreds of hours he spent with those videos. So
can I just say too that as a setter, like arguably, like I'm playing with like all Division I hitters and back row people. Like, I mean, people like will say they'll find out that in a former life I could do something, you know, like, and I like shocking. It is shocking. And I'm always like, yeah, but do you know who I played with? Like you guys, I never understood any of that stuff. Who was going to get what set. I literally was just like totally had 100% confidence that you guys were listening to all of it. And I was just going to show up and like hope that things went well. But like, I played with the best people in the whole world. Like, I don't know how y'all ended up at Division III school when you probably could have gotten your educations paid for. Like, I don't know how this worked, but I am eternally grateful. And like, so like, I mean, the girls will be like, they must have been amazing. And I'm like, cause they know I'm really so I'm like, you're right. You're darn right. They were amazing. So that helps you, Larry, when you walk out there. I was like, yo, I got these people. I don't know if you've seen them. Like my roommate is like amazing. Candace is amazing. Martha, Jody, I mean, Steph, like, what are we talking about? They could walk to any college and be like, I'd like to play. And they'd be like, come on. You know, so.
So
again, yeah, Angie, that's just like, but let's just put this straight. Let's get the record straight. Angie was a great setter. She was a great setter. And nobody's denying that except for you.
I'm not denying it. I'm just saying you guys, like you guys were amazing. My point was I had full confidence. I was like, it's like walking in when you've got like your dad, like, you know, when you're little, and like my dad was always like formidable. And so like if I was walking in the situation, I was like, yeah, no one's messing with me. Like, look at this guy.
So who kept things loose and how did they do it on the team?
Gosh, I would say that junior class, all of them. I mean, Angie and Jamie were a special duo for sure. And Martha and Jody. I mean, I feel like that whole crew, you guys were always making us laugh. Would you say not? I mean, I would think.
Yeah. I actually like I sent Martha I think I left a voicemail because I was talking to one of my kids and saying like, I just really love that you come to practice like ready to go, like, and like you just work so hard. And I was like, you just remind me of like some of my teammates, you know. And I was especially thinking of Martha because Martha had this ability to be super serious and zoned in, but she's like hilarious, you know, and like you wouldn't necessarily know that, I don't think, if you know. And like Jamie on the court was very different from Jamie, my roommate, you know, and Jody on the court. Like you guys were all so fun and funny, but like on the court, I feel like we did keep things loose, but I feel like it was kind of business too. Like we were, and I don't know why, like I don't know if that's got to be something the coaches helped create, and probably all of our personalities were like, maybe that's the beauty of D3 too, is that like we knew we weren't necessarily our, like we weren't getting paid to be there, so to speak. We weren't getting a sports scholarship. And so you played because you enjoyed it at a different level, I think, than maybe some other people do. That's just my hypothesis. But we were a lot business. Like, I don't know. So, but I think keeping things loose, like we didn't know we had anything to lose, I don't think. Like it was like, let's just another chance to go play with our best friends. Like that's how, wouldn't you say, Candace? Like it was just
And, you know, as we're talking about this too, I was thinking about even Megan sometimes during those practices, in playoff practices. I don't know if she did this that senior year. I know she's done it previous years where she'd actually have us do like the Chinese dance.
Oh, yes.
Remember, like Megan would even like kind of help keep things a little bit loose, even in practice, kind of like, you know, when your legs were tired and you're just needed like a little bit of a day off.
Yes.
We just kind of do walkthroughs, and in the walkthrough there used to usually be some, because you know Megan used to teach a dance class at Central, I think, back in the day. So she had like this repertoire of some just kind of interesting, like kind of folk dances and such.
True.
So 20 years later, what does it mean to you?
I think as I get older, and even like last year we were able to get together with a bunch of people at Central, you know, pre-COVID, and just seeing everybody's face. I feel like those relationships that are still intact, even, you know, as life continues on and there's like things that happen in people's lives, and just being able to still connect with those people, and like you haven't missed a beat, you know. I feel like that's even with everybody, just like, oh, like I still love you guys, even though like our lives have, you know, separated and changed. Gosh, it's still such a joy. So I think there's just something to having those years of relationship and playing together and just so much life together that I think 20 years out, I realize that's actually pretty special. You know, you don't get that a lot post college, really. It's really hard to build those kind of relationships. It usually takes like, I mean, I feel like I've got some really good friends here in OKC and I've known them for 7 years, you know, but it's been like, you know, it's been a long road, you know, of that to really build that relationship, versus like in college where I'm just like, man, you just have this intensive kind of cohesive group in it's a much shorter period of time, really. You don't realize that until later on, like, oh, wow, that's something.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, relationships.
Yeah, I would agree. I think being a grown-up, like just looking at like Kent and Megan and all the people, I mean, Larry, you would be included in that list, like the athletic director, Al Dornkamp at the time, and like, just like you guys like invested in us at a level that I don't know, like you guys had your own things going on. And like I look at Megan, for example, and I think, gosh, she was raising babies while she was coaching us and still took the time to like ask how we were doing and be interested in our lives and like care more about our character than she did about even how we played, you know. And I think, gosh, that is like has been inspiring, like just to like have my own kids and be like, gosh, would I have the bandwidth or the wherewithal to know that these college girls are looking at me and like learning how to be a wife and a mom from me, you know? And so I know I've told Megan that like, it just means so much to me the further out I get, that like she would choose to invest those years trying to juggle all the things. Cause I think it made us I don't know, I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I want to be like that. You know, I don't want to miss opportunities to invest in people just because I'm busy, because we are all busy, you know? And so I'm so grateful for all of you guys investing and just caring about these young women. And you've done that for years, you know, and I'm like, you'll never know, you know, you'll never know the impact I don't think that had. So it means so much to me. I'm so eager for my kids to have even anything close to what I got to experience at Central. And I think God does that. And I'm grateful, and I'm just so hoping that they get to have a stretch of life like that. So
it is a gift. I was even thinking about how, like, one of the people that gave me one of the scholarships was Martin and Elva May Harima.
Yes.
And they were at every game, you know, like, and I think just even the fact that I was actually able to have a relationship with them, you know, so it's not even just, it's like even like this, it just keeps going. It's like, it wasn't just even like the media people that were, it's people that even helped get me there in the first place. And even like I was even, you know, able just to even connect with them when I stayed in Pella, you know, and to go visit them still after, you know, years after that. I just, yeah, it's like, that's just, you're right. Like, that's kind of something, you know what, I think Central is just kind of a unique community in that too, because it's like small community and you have like all these different tiers of people that are investing into you, and you don't realize that at the time, like, oh, wow, okay, like helping just kind of change your worldview too.
Yes.
I mentioned Martin and Elva May were in her 90s at that time.
Right. They were, I mean, they were like, but she was still like swimming, like driving. She was still like, I feel like, I mean, she was super active still.
But she couldn't hear and he couldn't see.
Yes, it's a good combination.
But you guys, when you guys would go on the road, sometimes I would get a call at home late on Saturday night, late for her, 8:30.
Yeah.
And I'd hear this old lady's voice. She'd go, "Did the girls win?" She's always keeping up on you guys. So it was so cool.
Yes, that's amazing, really. And the fact that she's just even that wherewithal, you know?
Yeah.
So
you would answer your phone and like, that just goes to show you, like, somebody would feel like they could call you and ask you what the scores were and they wouldn't be bothering you.
Well, I'm not getting a lot of calls on Saturday nights. That's right. But hey, we can talk all day, but there's probably no one watching at this point, but it's fun for us anyway. So
yes, right.
It's been awesome to catch up with you, and great to visit with you, and thanks. It was so much fun in those years, and it's still fun thinking about it. So
for sure.
You guys are forever Dutch, and we appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
All right.